I wrap the last Christmas present with practiced precision, folding the corners tight against the box and securing them with a single piece of tape. The paper catches the soft glow from my Christmas lights, which I hung despite having no one to impress. Old habits. The red and green strands reflect off the glass display case where my service medals rest in tidy rows, 11 years of sacrifice captured in metal and ribbon. Perfect, I whisper, adding a silver bow to the package for my mother. A crystal bowl, elegant but not too expensive. Something she might display and think of me when company visits. My apartment feels too quiet tonight. In the Marines, quiet was a luxury. Now it weighs on me, especially with Christmas just 3 days away. My first holiday as a civilian again. My first real chance to come home. I check the suitcase by my door, already packed and ready for tomorrow's drive to my parents' house. I've avoided going home these past 11 years except for necessary visits. Always had an excuse: deployment, training, duty station too far away. But with my discharge papers signed and my apartment lease secured, I can't hide behind the uniform anymore. The sharp ping of my phone shatters my thoughts. My father's name appears on screen, triggering the familiar tightening in my chest that always precedes our conversations. I swipe open the message, expecting questions about arrival time or whether I remembered to bring something. Don't come home this year. We've decided it's better that way. My hands tremble, making the phone screen blur. I read it again, then a third time, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something that makes sense. What the hell? I speak into the empty room. I hit a call. It rings 4 times before switching to voicemail. My father's gruff voice instructs me to leave a message. I will try my mother next. Straight to voicemail. My brother. Same result. I drop onto the couch, the carefully wrapped presents mocking me from the coffee table. The silence in my apartment deepens, becoming something heavy and oppressive. I've spent holidays alone before Christmas in Afghanistan, Thanksgiving on a carrier in the Pacific, but this feels different. Those absences had purpose. This one is rejection. My mind spins backward 11 years. I see myself at 22, sitting in the community college advisor's office, my environmental technology textbook clutched to my chest. "I'm sorry, Miss Porter," the advisor had said, avoiding my eyes. "With your father's previous year's income, you don't qualify for emergency aid, even though he's unemployed now." The factory had closed without warning. Dad's 30 years of loyalty were rewarded with a modest severance package that wouldn't cover 6 months of expenses. Mom's part-time job at the pharmacy couldn't keep up with the mortgage. I remember walking past the recruitment office that afternoon, the Marine Corps poster in the window, the sudden clarity. 4 days later, I stood in our kitchen, enlistment papers in hand. "A female Marine?" my father snorted, not looking up from the bills spread across the table. "You're out of your mind." I shipped out anyway. Basic training, combat training, military occupational specialty school, each achievement met with silence or dismissal from home. Yet I sent money back faithfully for the new roof, Mom's dental work, Dad's truck repairs. I rose through the ranks on my own merit. The Marines saw something in me. My family never had capability, leadership, worth. I remember my visit home after making staff sergeant. The way my father glanced at my uniform, the new insignia. "So?" he'd said, turning back to the television. "That's supposed to impress me?" I stare at the phone in my hand now, reading his message again. "Don't come home this year. We've decided it's better that way." No explanation, no apology, just a door slammed in my face. I set the phone down and moved to the window, looking out at the snow falling softly on Ogden. My reflection stares back, straight posture, clear eyes, the discipline of a Marine still evident in my civilian clothes. Something inside me hardens, like metal forged in fire. If they don't want me home for Christmas, there must be a reason. And I'm going to find out what it is. An hour later, I dumped the contents of my filing cabinet onto the living room floor. The neat folder system I maintained throughout my military career collapses into a spreading pile of papers. Each document represents a connection to my past, tangible proof of my existence that my family seems determined to erase. "There has to be something here," I mutter, sorting papers into chronological stacks. The Christmas tree lights cast colored shadows across the floor as I work. I've left them on, a stubborn reminder of the holiday I'm apparently not welcome to celebrate with my own flesh and blood. The carefully wrapped presents still mock me from the coffee table. I considered throwing them in the dumpster, but something stopped me. Pride, maybe. Or the lingering hope that this is all some terrible misunderstanding. I start with bank statements. Every monthly transfer to my parents' account is neatly highlighted in yellow, $200 a month for the first 3 years. $500 monthly after my promotion to corporal, $800 after staff sergeant. The numbers tell a story my family never acknowledged. My laptop screen glows as I open my email archive. I create a new folder labeled Family Finances and begin dragging emails into it. Dad's request for truck repair money, Mom's dental work. The new roof, the water heater. Each message follows the same pattern: urgent need, minimal explanation, no gratitude afterward. The total staggers me. Over 11 years, I've sent them nearly $80,000. Jesus Christ, I whisper, staring at the spreadsheet I've created. That's not including gifts or the money I spent during visits home. That's just direct transfers and emergency funds. My eyes burn from the strain of reading small print. I rub them, then reach for the stack of legal documents. Somewhere in here is the mortgage paper Dad had me sign 6 years ago during my leave between deployments. The memory surfaces with uncomfortable clarity. My third day home, exhausted from Afghanistan. The heavy silence at the dinner table was broken by Dad's casual mention of a second mortgage. The bank wants a co-signer, he'd said, not looking up from his meatloaf. Your name's the only one with good credit right now. I remember how Mom studied her plate, saying nothing. How my brother suddenly needed to make a phone call. What's it for? I'd asked. House needs work. Roof's not gonna last another winter. I'd already sent $3,000 for the roof the previous year. I thought the roof was fixed, I said. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. Are you questioning me in my own house? I wasn't. Or maybe I was. But I wanted his approval more than I wanted answers. I signed the papers in the kitchen while he stood over me, not bothering to read the fine print. Now I scan each page carefully, looking for the document that bears my signature. The papers blur together until I spotted a second mortgage from North Utah Credit Union. My hand freezes mid-air when I see the terms. I'm not just a co-signer. I'm the primary borrower. My name appears first on every page. The property description matches my parents' address, but the ownership percentage is listed as 52% under my name. The room seems to tilt. I spread the pages across the floor, checking and rechecking the language. Dad's manipulation was more calculating than I'd realized. He didn't just use my credit, made me the majority owner, legally responsible for the property. My hands shake as I dial my old neighbor, Mrs. Winters. She's lived next door to my parents for 20 years and never liked my father much. Ainsley Porter, she answers warmly. Haven't heard your voice in ages. Your folks mentioned you might not make it home this year. My stomach twists. They told you that? Just yesterday. Your father was supervising the installation of that fancy new patio. Said something about you being too busy with your new civilian life. New patio? I grip the phone tighter. Mrs. Winters, do they talk about me much? Her hesitation tells me everything. Well, dear. She pauses. To be honest, sometimes people are surprised to learn they have a daughter. Your mother keeps those marine photos hidden in the study. Your father never mentions your service. The betrayal cuts deeper than I expected. They've erased me while using my money me name to improve their home. One more question, I say, keeping my voice steady. Have you noticed anything unusual there lately? Any work being done on the house? Besides the patio? Well, they've had quite a bit of construction this past year. New siding in the spring. Kitchen renovation over the summer. She lowers her voice. And I've seen college-aged kids coming and going from the back entrance, carrying textbooks. Your brother said they're tutoring him, but he's been out of school for years. The pieces lock into place. I thank Mrs. Winters and end the call, staring at my modest apartment. The water stain on the ceiling, secondhand furniture, the single string of Christmas lights. Meanwhile, my family lives in comfort, possibly renting out rooms in a house that legally belongs mostly to me, while telling me not to come home for Christmas. I reach for my phone and search Veterans Legal Aid Ogden. The first result is a local advocacy center that offers free consultations. Porter Veterans Advocacy, a woman answers. How can we help you today? My military training takes over clear, concise communication of the problem. My name is Staff Sergeant Ainsley Porter, USMC, recently discharged. I need to speak with someone about my legal rights regarding property I apparently own, but have been barred from visiting. For the first time since receiving my father's text, I feel a sense of control returning. The woman on the phone listens without judgment, asks relevant questions, and schedules me for a meeting tomorrow morning with both a veterans advocate and a real estate attorney who volunteers with their program. I hang up and survey the paper trail spread across my floor, the evidence of years of sacrifice and manipulation, the proof that I've been financing my own exclusion. Whatever game my family is playing, I'm no longer just a pawn. I'm the majority owner of the board. Next day, the property manager shifts his weight from one foot to the other outside my parents' front door. His discomfort radiates like heat from an engine. Are you absolutely certain about this, Miss Porter? Bill Reynolds tugs at his collar. I understand you legally have the authority, but family situations can be complicated. I stand firm on the sidewalk, chin up, shoulders squared. Mr. Reynolds, I've spent 11 years following orders without question. This time, I'm giving them. He nods, inserts the key I provided into the lock, and pushes the door open. The familiar scent of my mother's cinnamon potpourri washes over me, but something else lingers beneath unfamiliar cologne, fast food, young people. My family left yesterday for their annual post-Christmas trip to my aunt's cabin in Idaho, a tradition I was never invited to join even when home on leave. The living room appears normal at first glance, the same beige sofa, the wooden coffee table I helped Dad refinish before I enlisted. But subtle differences catch my trained eye. A gaming controller tucked beside the recliner, a textbook on the side table, a phone charger that isn't the Apple brand my parents use. This way, please, I say, leading Reynolds toward the hallway. The first bedroom door stands slightly ajar. I push it open to reveal a space I barely recognize. The twin bed where I slept for 18 years has been replaced by a full-size mattress with rumpled black sheets. Posters of bands I don't recognize cover the walls. A desk cluttered with energy drink cans and college textbooks sits where my bookshelf once stood. Someone's living here, Reynolds states the obvious, pulling out his phone to document everything. Not just someone, I say, opening the closet to reveal men's clothing. A paying tenant. We move to my brother's old room. Similar scent, a different tenant, this one apparently female, judging by the makeup strewn across the dresser and pink shower caddy on the floor. Your parents never mentioned subletting rooms, Reynolds says, his professional demeanor giving way to genuine surprise. Because they don't have the right to. My voice stays steady, though my hands clench at my sides. The mortgage agreement prohibits rental activity without written consent from all owners. Reynolds photographs everything methodically. The rental agreements were left carelessly in a kitchen drawer. The handwritten payment ledger shows 18 months of steady income. The bank statements showing deposits matching the rent amounts. $600 per room, $1,200 total. Every month, I say, doing the math aloud, over $20,000 in their pockets while I was sending money home for urgent repairs. The betrayal burns in my chest, but I force myself to continue the inspection. In the hallway, a flash of wood and glass catches my eye. The family photo wall. I step closer, scanning the frames. Every photo of me in uniform is gone. Pictures from my boot camp graduation, my promotion ceremony, the group shot with my platoon in Afghanistan all vanished. In their place hang landscapes and generic family photos carefully arranged to hide the missing pieces of family history. But they couldn't erase me completely. In my father's office, buried under household files, Reynolds discovers the Truth Me name on the mortgage documents, the deed, the insurance policy. All the legal paperwork showing my 52% ownership, preserved because they needed my standing to maintain their lifestyle. They used my credit rating to secure the refinancing. I explain as Reynolds reviews the documents. Dad's bankruptcy 7 years ago destroyed his score. They needed me on paper, but not in person. This is fraudulent activity, Miss Porter, Reynolds says. His voice lowered as if someone might overhear. The unauthorized rental income, the failure to disclose. I know exactly what it is. I cut him off, unwilling to hear the word that's been echoing in my head since I discovered the first rental agreement. I need copies of everything. Back in the rental cabin I booked for Christmas, I spread the evidence across the small dining table. Outside, snow falls silently on the mountains surrounding Ogden. The quiet feels appropriate for this moment this Christmas morning when I'm finally seeing clearly. 11 years ago, I stood in a line of recruits, raised my right hand, and swore to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I never imagined my own family would become the opposition I needed to confront. I think about holidays spent away Christmas in Afghanistan, where my unit created decorations from MRE packages and bootlaces. Thanksgiving on a carrier in the Pacific, where we served dinner to junior Marines before eating our own meals. The New Year's Eve in Germany when I called home only to have my father tell me he was too busy watching the game to talk. All while they cashed my checks, all while they rented my bedroom to strangers. My phone lights up with a text from Sergeant Major Collins, my former commanding officer. Merry Christmas, Porter. Standing by if you need reinforcements. His message brings the first smile to my face in days. During my service, I learned that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who stand beside you when the world gets heavy. I dial my lawyer's number, another veteran who understands what it means to come home to a place that no longer feels like home. Sierra Legal Group, answers Mariah West, working even on Christmas morning. It's Ainsley Porter. I have everything we need. My voice carries the same confidence I used when briefing superior officers. I'd like to meet tomorrow to formalize our strategy. Roger that, she replies, military shorthand between veterans. 900 hours? Perfect. The next morning, Mariah spreads the documents across her conference room table, creating a timeline of deception spanning years. She explains my options with the precision of a tactical briefing. You hold majority ownership. You can terminate their informal rental agreements, require them to vacate, or establish formal leases at market rate. She taps her pen against the mortgage document. Their actions violated multiple clauses. The legal standing is firmly with you. I consider each option carefully, the way I was trained to evaluate mission parameters. I want this handled properly, by the book, I say finally. Draft a formal notice outlining the violations and my expectations moving forward. When she slides the finished document across the table an hour later, I feel a weight lifting from my shoulders. The paper represents more than legal action, it's my declaration of independence from years of manipulation. I sign my name with steady hands. Ainsley Porter, Staff Sergeant, USMC, Ret. That evening, my phone rings repeatedly with numbers I recognize from the veteran support group I joined after discharge. Word has spread about my situation. Porter, Jenkins here. My sister's a real estate attorney if you need a second opinion. Ainsley, it's Diane. We're having dinner Thursday at my place. No excuses, you're coming. Hey, Staff Sergeant Rodriguez. Just checking in. Some of us are getting together for New Year's. Nothing fancy, just people who get it. You should come. I save every message. Each one reminds me that while blood makes you related, loyalty makes you family. As I prepare for the confrontation ahead, I'm not standing alone anymore. This isn't just about a house or money. It's about recognizing my worth and refusing to accept anything less than the respect I've earned, not just from the Marines, but from the people who should have valued me first. 5 days after Christmas, my phone buzzes for the third time in 20 minutes. Mother again. I watch the notification appear, then fade to black without reaching for it. The voice messages accumulate like snowdrifts against my apartment. Door persistent, mounting, unwelcome. I take a sip of coffee, black and cooling, and continue reviewing the property management report. The evidence feels solid in my hands. Photographs of 2 college students' bedrooms, complete with makeshift kitchenettes hidden behind folding screens. My family has been collecting rent under my nose while using my name on legal paperwork. The phone buzzes again. This time my brother's name appears. You're destroying this family. Dad built everything we have. How could you do this to him after all he's sacrificed? The laugh that escapes my throat sounds foreign even to Mesharp and without humor. I set the phone face down without responding and return to my documents. How's that for sacrifices, Colby? I ask the empty room. 11 years, 3 deployments, and tens of thousands of dollars. The veteran's advocate suggested I calculate exactly how much money I'd sent home. The final tally startled even me. The landline rings, the one I installed specifically for this purpose, with a number only my lawyer and property manager have. I answer immediately. Miss Porter, they've hung new curtains in the rental rooms and moved in a student. My property manager's voice carries the professionally neutral tone of someone delivering precisely what was requested. I documented everything as instructed. Thank you, Sharon. Please add it to the file. When I hang up, my cell phone is ringing again. Father. His name on the screen sends a familiar jolt through my system, that automatic tension response. For a moment, my finger hovers over the green button. Then I remember the text message. Don't come home this year. We've decided it's better that way. I decline the call and block his number. 10 minutes later, the call comes from an unknown number. I answer without speaking. Who the hell do you think you are? My father's voice fills the room like toxic smoke. You back off immediately, you hear me? This is my house. The old Ainsley would have wilted, would have apologized. That Ainsley died somewhere between Kandahar and coming home. All communication through my attorney, Lloyd. You have his number. My voice remains steady, a skill honed through years of crisis management. Listen to me, you ungrateful. I end the call and block this number too. My hands don't shake. I notice this with a strange detachment, as if observing someone else's body. When the doorbell rings an hour later, I'm not surprised. The police officer looks uncomfortable, shifting his weight from one foot to the other in my doorway. Ma'am, we received a report about a potentially unstable veteran, just following up as a precaution. I smile, stepping back to reveal my immaculate apartment. Of course, officer, would you like to come in? I was just preparing my documentation for a property dispute. His eyes take in the organized files on my dining table, the freshly made bed visible through the bedroom door, the absence of any concerning signs. That won't be necessary, ma'am. Looks like a misunderstanding. After he leaves, I add wellness check, the 28th of December, to my documentation timeline. Their desperation makes them predictable. My laptop pings with an email from my lawyer. The 5th of January confirmed. Security and locksmith arranged. I sent a single-word reply, confirmed. The calendar on my wall shows the 30th of December, only 6 days until the confrontation. I glance at my phone. 17 missed calls, 23 text messages, all variations on the same theme: manipulative pleas, threats, accusations of mental instability. When my lawyer suggested I avoid direct contact, I didn't realize how liberating the silence would be. Each unanswered call feels like shedding another link in the chain they've wrapped around me since childhood. I open my closet and select what I'll wear on the 5th of January: the charcoal slacks, cream blouse, tailored blazer. Professional. Controlled. Nothing like the frightened girl who signed papers without reading them 6 years ago. The new year approaches, but I've already made my resolution. No more bending until I break. No more sacrificing without recognition. No more hoping for approval that will never come. I place the outfit on a hanger by the door, ready, waiting, certain. This time, I'm bringing the battle to them. January 5th arrives with a bitter wind that cuts through my wool peacoat as I step out of my truck. The 2-story home of my childhood stands before me, its familiar shape now transformed in my eyes. No longer a place of rejection, but a battlefield where I'll make my final stand. Are you ready, Staff Sergeant Porter? My attorney stands beside me on the snow-dusted sidewalk, her leather briefcase clutched against her charcoal suit. I nod once, the gesture precise and controlled. Behind us, a stocky man with silver-streaked hair, Carl, the property manager, checks his clipboard. The locksmith waits in his van, engine running. Remember, you have legal standing. You're not doing anything wrong. Her voice is steady, grounding. I know. The words come out clipped, my breath visible in the cold air. I straighten my shoulders and start up the walkway. The front door swings open before I reach it. My father fills the doorframe, his face already flushed with anger. His eyes widen at the sight of my small entourage. What the hell is this? He demands, blocking the entrance. I stop 3 feet away, military distance. We need to talk. Who are these people? His gaze darts between Meredith and Carl. My attorney and property manager. I keep my voice level the way I did briefing superior officers in crisis situations. May we come inside? No, you may not. He steps forward, using his height advantage the way he did throughout my childhood. Whatever game you're playing ends now. Behind him, Mom appears, her hands fluttering nervously at her collar. Ainsley, what's happening? Her eyes are red, rimmed, either from crying or lack of sleep. I've discovered some interesting information about the house, Mom. My brother Colby emerges from the kitchen, beer in hand despite the early hour. His expression shifts from confusion to wariness when he sees the clipboard in Carl's hand. Let's discuss this like adults, I say, removing an envelope from my coat pocket. There's nothing to discuss. Dad's voice rises. This is my house. Actually, Meredith interjects smoothly, the property is legally 52% owned by Ainsley Porter, according to county records and the second mortgage agreement she co-signed 6 years ago. Dad's face drains of color before flooding crimson again. Get off my property. I can't trespass on my own property, I reply, stepping forward. We can have this conversation inside or out here where the neighbors can hear. Your choice. Mom tugs at Dad's sleeve. Lloyd, please, let them in. The living room feels smaller than I remember. Family photos line the mantelnon featuring me in uniform. The Christmas tree still stands in the corner, presents absent, needles browning. The room smells of pine air freshener attempting to mask cigarette smoke, a habit Dad supposedly quit years ago. I remain standing while my parents settle on the sofa. Colby leans against the door frame, tension radiating from his posture. You defaulted on the payments. I lay out documents on the coffee table. 3 months of mortgage payments made by me after you stopped answering my calls. Mom stares at the floor. We've been having some financial difficulties. And yet you renovated the kitchen. I point to the gleaming granite countertops visible through the doorway, with money I sent for the roof. This is ridiculous, Dad explodes, half rising. You can't come in here with your fancy lawyer and... I also know about the college students. My words slice through his bluster. The silence is sudden and complete. What college students? Mom asks weakly. I turn to Carl, who produces photographs. 2 bedrooms upstairs are being rented to students from Weber State. Illegal subletting, undeclared income, violation of zoning ordinances. Colby pushes off from the doorframe. Look, Ainsley, we can explain. Save it. I cut him off with a look I perfected on insubordinate privates. I've heard enough explanations for one lifetime. Dad lunges to his feet, fists clenched. You ungrateful little. Sir, I strongly advise against threats. Meredith's voice is ice. You were never supposed to come back and actually use your name on the papers, Dad shouts, spittle flying. It was just to secure the loan. The truth of it hits me like artillery fire. So I was good enough to co-sign when you needed money, but not good enough to come home for Christmas? Mom begins to cry, soft hiccuping sobs that once would have gutted me. Family should stick together, Ainsley. Your father was just... Don't. I hold up my hand. Don't make excuses for him. Not anymore. Colby steps forward. Listen, sis, I didn't know about the Christmas text, I swear. Dad just said you were deployed again. The self-preservation in his eyes is transparent. No loyalty except to himself. Like father, like son. I place a folder on the table. You have 2 options. Option 1. Sign a legal lease agreement at fair market value. Option 2. Vacate the premises within 30 days. Dad's laugh is ugly. You expect me to pay my own daughter rent in my own house? I meet his gaze without flinching. Then it's no longer your house. You can't do this to us, Mom whispers. Where would we go? You should have thought about that before you decided I wasn't family anymore. The words taste like metal in my mouth. Meredith places formal eviction papers on the table. The locksmith enters quietly, waiting by the door. Dad's face contorts. 11 years in that damn uniform, and this is what they taught you? To betray your own family? No. I stand at parade rest, the position automatic after years of service. The Marines taught me that respect is earned, loyalty goes both ways, and actions have consequences. I turn to leave, their protests rising behind me like waves breaking against a seawall. My mother's tearful pleas, my father's threats, my brother's sudden, desperate attempt at reconciliation. None of it touches me now. Outside, the winter sun breaks through clouds, casting long shadows across the snow. I pause on the steps, breathing in the clean, cold air. For the first time in my life, I feel neither anger nor sadness when I look at my childhood home. I feel free. A month later, I stood in the empty doorway of what was once my childhood bedroom. February sunlight streams through windows I've thrown open despite the cold. The house needs to breathe. So do I. My footsteps echo across bare floors where my family's possessions used to be. They left almost nothing behind except damaja fist-sized hole punched through the hallway drywall, gouges in the kitchen countertops, a cracked bathroom mirror. Silent testimonies to my father's rage during their final days here. Cowards, I whisper, running my fingers along the splintered edge of my old bedroom door. The brass knob hangs loose, as if someone tried to tear it from its housing. In the master bedroom closet, I discover something they overlooked, a cardboard box shoved high on the shelf behind old blankets. Inside, my high school valedictorian medal. Academic awards with my name engraved in small, precise letters. Newspaper clippings about scholarships I'd earned. A photo of me in my first Marine uniform, eyes forward, shoulders squared. They had kept these things, but hidden them away where no one could see, where they wouldn't have to acknowledge them. I carry the box to the kitchen and set it on the counter beside my sketchpad. The plans for Porter Haven are taking shape: 4 bedrooms for female veterans needing transitional housing. A communal kitchen where we'll share meals and stories. A backyard garden where healing can take root alongside vegetables. The doorbell rings, startling me from my thoughts. "Back here," I called out. Marissa appears in the kitchen doorway, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Behind her come Tina and Jackie, both carrying paint supplies. All 3 women served Army, Navy, and Marines respectively. All 3 understand what it means to come home to a place that doesn't feel like home anymore. "Ready to murder these walls?" Tina asks, setting down a gallon of primer with a thud. I laugh. Murder away. We start in my old bedroom. The walls bear traces of posters, long gonzmol holes from thumbtacks, faded rectangles where sunlight couldn't reach. As I roll primer over the pale blue my mother chose 20 years ago, each stroke feels like erasing a memory I no longer need to carry. "Found something interesting," Jackie calls from the closet. She emerges with a small metal tin. Inside, a collection of stones I gathered as a child, each labeled in my careful handwriting. Grand Canyon, 1999. Lake Powell, 2001. "I thought they threw these out," I say, turning a smooth red stone over in my palm. "Families are complicated," Marissa says quietly. She places a hand on my shoulder. "Sometimes they keep the pieces of us they want and ignore the rest." By late afternoon, the first bedroom wears a coat of warm ivory. We stand back, admiring our work. "Who gets this room?" Jackie asks. "Rachel," I replied. "Marine Corps, 2 tours in Afghanistan, sleeping in her car since December." Tina nods approvingly. "When does she move in?" "Next week, once we get furniture." I step to the window and look out at the yard. The winter landscape appears barren, but I know what lies beneath: bulbs waiting for spring, roots gathering strength. In 3 months, this place will bloom. I open the window wider, letting fresh air rush through the newly painted room. For the first time, this house feels like mine. Not the place I grew up, but the place I'm creating. A space for beginning again.